Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul. Wow, I've not said that for a long time now. But yes, tonight on the show, we're going to be talking about the All Blacks versus a Pacific 15. There's also some club versus country discussions going on in Europe. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening around Super Rugby that we may or may not get round to talking about, because we've also got a bumper edition of Club Rugby from the weekend. I was at East Tamaki versus Auckland Marist, and Stephen, obviously my regular co-host here, he was at Waitemata versus Eden. How you doing, sir?
Very good, thank you, Paul. And once again, a privilege and a pleasure to be on. Yeah, really good contest. Could have gone either way, that Eden Waitemata game. And I've got to give a big ups for Kyle Van Veen, who was the official for the game. It must have been really, really challenging. Eden throwing a lot at Waitemata with 20 minutes to go, and a lot of pressure to pull penalties, and he did, and credit to the home side getting across the line with some great defence. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Great to be here, Paul.
And we also have regular expert, international, Samoan international, Dwayne Poliavitivo. Oh, I've got to butcher it this week. I've not practiced it before the show. Oh, I'm a bad man. But you obviously were at Pakuranga versus T Papapa at the weekend as well. So look, that's 3 games so far we've got covered, folks. How you doing, sir?
That's it, Paul. Thank you. Good, thank you. Thanks for having me again. I'm always grateful to be on the show. Good to see you, Stephen, and the team. Definitely at Te Papa on the weekend. It was a good game all around for the club. So it was a great weekend.
So you've had what 3 or 4 massages since then, and ice baths and all that sort of stuff to recover?
Oh, the body's getting old, mate. So any bit of recovery is always good. Just finished recovery not long ago. So it's good to be here.
And also we have somebody from university, or someone who's at the university versus Manukau as well. Bo Athu, who is the technical advisor out there at Manukau. How are you doing, sir? Oh, he's gone all quiet.
Very well, thank you. Very excited to be on the show. I'm, thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be on the show, and welcome to the audience wherever you may be tuning in.
So, actually, Dwayne, something I've not actually asked you: have you tried floating yet as a form of recovery?
You asking me, Paul?
Yeah. Oh, look!
No,
Stephen Harris and Bo. They stopped playing about 50 years ago. I mean, they're ancient, those two. That was before floating had been invented.
No, I haven't actually, Paul. I've heard about it. I think there was a bloke up north, ex-College Rifles halfback. His name's passed me by. But anyways, yeah, I heard he did it quite a bit up north. But no, I haven't tried it. One for the books, I guess.
So apparently a number of players have started to do that. So for those of you that don't know, floating is when you lie back in salt water and listen to calm music in darkness, and it's all about sensory deprivation and blah blah blah, all of that kind of funky kind of stuff. Good evening to people everyone who's joining us in the live chat. Hi, Alex, Simon, Jordan. Great to have you all along. Yes, Simon mentions there that. Will the Rugby Championship go ahead this year in New Zealand? Yes, we will. We can also touch on that as well as to what the reports are there. And good evening, Nocturnal Rights as well out there on YouTube. Don't forget, folks, you can also listen to the show on the go if you want to via a podcast. Just search New Zealand Sports Radio on iCast, Spotify, iTunes, Acast, all of that sort of thing. I think iCast, isn't I? Not iCast, iHeartRadio. That's what I'm talking about. Deary me. See, too many gin and tonics, really, before a show. Not a good idea. But let's jump into that one straight away. That All Blacks idea against a Pacific 15. And Dwayne, you've played for Samoa. This idea of and you've also played for. You also played for the. Did you play for the Pacific Warriors or not in the combined, not the combined one. So I'm getting mixed up with Junior, who I had a chat with, who's also a number 9, who did that one. So yeah, initial. Have you heard about this Pacific 15 and the thoughts behind it?
I have actually. I know there's a bit of talk about it, especially for the internationals that are based here in New Zealand or who have come back. But I guess those are just whispers, and for us as players, it's actually quite difficult to really, believe that it's going to happen. But it sounds like it's promising. I think we're all almost pretty much there from the write-ups, but I think it's a great initiative. Either way, if it's the Pacific teams or the Māoris, it's just a great initiative to have, and what a build-up to have for the All Blacks as well. You've got the likes of some former All Black players that potentially could suit up, and it's going to be a great contest either way. So no, it's definitely exciting.
Okay, now I guess that's my you've kind of touched on a couple of things already around this, but it's not. It's been called a Pacific 15 and not a Pacific Island 15. And some of the names that have been listed in there, most of us, when we heard this, our first thoughts, oh, fantastic! It's going to be combined Fiji, Samoa, Tonga team.
Yeah.
And then the names they mentioned: Maunonu, Julian Surveyor, Akira Ioane, Duplessis Karifi, and I'm like, this is not a Pacific Island 15. Those guys are all two of them are definitely All Blacks. I'm trying to think. I mean, Akira Ioane's been in the All Blacks squad. I don't think that's been capped yet. So it's not really what I would consider to be a Pacific 15, or what I think most people would imagined it would be. It is from that point of view. Stephen, I mean, is that what you were expecting? That a Pacific Island 15 rather than Pacific 15?
Well, I suppose for me, as long as there's a means to an end, somewhere, I think I've said to you before, this is a perfect opportunity to somehow get Pacific Island rugby involved in Super Rugby. I mean, so we're seeing a great product at the moment. I think it would just add another complete flavour with a Pacific Island team in the competition. I was thinking maybe more along the Pacific Barbarians style. I would imagine there's a lot of players who play overseas who aren't getting a lot of rugby at this point of time. Those are the players I'm really thinking about who probably should be part of this game. But I would I would like to think holistically there's a bigger picture in mind here, as opposed to just rolling out guys who have worn the black jersey in the past.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. Bo, have you got have the boys at Manukau been said anything about the game or been talking about the game, and are they has it caused interest down there? In because they're talking about holding it in South Auckland at Mount Smart Stadium. So is there excitement down there amongst the club that this might happen?
Yeah, look, certainly there's always a buzz when anything to do with Pacific Islands rugby is stated, especially in news and mainstream media. Some of the boys were, because we've got a very young side out at Manukau Rovers, and most of these kids, they're aspiring to fill those bigger boots as they progress through the ranks. So as I agree fully with Stephen. Hopefully it has a true representation and flavor of Pacific Islands rugby, as opposed to an almost shadow All Black 15 or players who have represented or worn the black jersey prior and then been given a run. But what we don't really want happening is it turning into more TV spectacle, so that it's just purely out and out entertainment. What we would like to see, and what the fans would like to see more from a Pacific Islands perspective, is that there is true representation. So if you recall, 16 years ago, back in 2004, North Harbour Stadium, the Pacific Islands 15 played the All Blacks. A very entertaining game. I was at that game. I recall the late Sione Lavaki scoring a try on the far left-hand corner. It really set the stadium alight. So hopefully, something along those lines, which gives true representation and opportunity for Pacific Islands players. That's probably what should happen.
in the live chat, there's ideas around Pacific Barbarians, and I think it was actually called the Pacific Warriors rather than Pacific Barbarians back then, and that lasted only a few years before the islands basically fell out with each other, and it stopped and it stopped happening. Jordan Sage perhaps call it a Polynesian 15, as Maoris are Polynesian. Well, yes, but New Zealand is arguably the biggest Pacific island, and it's just another Pacific island, or a couple of islands anyway. So actually calling it Pacific isn't a problem, I wouldn't say per se. But I guess for my mind, this smacks of the so for the future of Super Rugby. New Zealand are asking for a Pacific team to be part of it, and the what's the other one? And Australia are also talking about wanting a Pacific Island team in. And this now New Zealand is saying, hey, it should be in South Auckland. Australia saying, no, it should be in West Sydney. Both obviously with large Pacific communities, so not a problem from that point of view. But Dwayne, obviously playing for Samoa, to me, and hey, being English and British, we've done plenty of this colonial kind of stuff. It just to me it feels like two big brothers telling the islands what to do, rather than involving the islands and saying let's actually have a Pacific Island team with Pacific Islanders. If you believe all the press reports, the South Auckland one will be run by a couple of people out of Hawaii, plus a bunch of All Blacks who are part of that group. And again, well, that person who is the CEO there, she is an ex-Maori, or she got selected as a Maori All Black, I believe, sevens player, but didn't actually get to play, according to from an interview I heard her give. So again, is it just New Zealanders telling the islands what they want or what they should have? And as a Samoan rep player, do you feel it's inclusive, or do you think it's or is it or am I going on the wrong track and being on that one?
I think the beauty about it is it's in conversations now. They are very active now on trying to help the island teams. I think as a Samoan player, it's always good that now they're acknowledging the island teams, and especially the Pacific, because a lot of the talent is sort of born and bred here in New Zealand and nurtured here, and then obviously they get the opportunities to play in Super Rugby and also represent New Zealand, or the kids sort of make that decision young. So I think the biggest thing is now it's in the conversations, it's in the works, and it's a good thing. And I think as a Samoan player, you'd much rather have a young Samoan choosing Samoa first, or Fijian or Tonga first before they choose All Blacks. I guess that'll be an awesome mindset to have, and that's good. That's still a lot of work to do, but I think the positive is that Australia and New Zealand are willing to help now. But yeah, it's just a good thing that it's in conversation now, and there are teams or people that are willing to help.
Oh, maybe I'm just an old cynical man, because to me it looks a little bit like a New Zealand Rugby trying to produce another New Zealand side with a Pacifica badge from a marketing point of view. Same with Australia. Australia's saying that we want another Australian Super Rugby side, but we'll put a Pacifica badge on it because that'll help the marketing. That'll help get more crowds through. I really do hope it's not that, and I hope it is giving young Pacific Island guys an opportunity and a way to stay closest to home. It's still not home itself for a lot if they live in the islands, but it's closer than Europe, and to be able to earn a living, because that's what we get told by the Pacific Player Welfare Association, etc. That's what the players really want to have. So, let's hope it does. It does pan out that way. Any other thoughts, guys, on that? Oh, so yes, that game would take place before the Rugby Championship, which is likely to be held in New Zealand. They reckon between November the 7th and December the 12th. I guess if we have this, we add in the North-South game, we add in potentially a couple of Bledisloe Cup games before the Rugby Championship, and suddenly all that talk of All Blacks playing Mitre 10 Cup Rugby seems to go out the window, doesn't it? Unfortunately.
Paul,
And that's more
Paul, I'm
from
going to
me.
quickly, Paul, if you don't mind, I'm just going to quickly jump in. After getting around and watching a lot of the Auckland Club rugby, there are some really good Pacific Island players who would never get recognition that are actually running around in the Auckland Club competition. I'd actually like to see a Pacific Island Rugby Academy based here in Auckland to help Pacific Island players out, but more importantly, give them basically direction about the opportunities that are actually on the table, not just in New Zealand, but anywhere in the world, and bring them up to speed. I don't think it would really take a heck of a lot. I can give a couple of examples of a couple of boys who played for suburbs. Wallace Halahalo, who was a very, very good club player, now a very good professional overseas, and I'm pretty sure Dwayne, probably if he thought of a bigger list than me, there are plenty of kids that have played in Auckland Club rugby but bypassed rep rugby and ended up playing professional rugby. And there is more than enough talent to have a very good professional rugby side in Auckland here or Australia, as long as the rugby union doesn't have too much say in the direction of that particular side. It just means that those boys who are available for that particular Super Rugby side are also available for their international side of choice. But let's bring these kids up to speed. I've no doubts you can take a player out of any club team, because it's a pretty good standard of rugby, especially when you get the good sides playing each other, and take that kid to another level. And that's something I would love to see. If my lotto numbers came up on Wednesday night, that's me. Sorry, Paul, I'm leaving you. I'm going to start my own Pacific Island Academy right here in Auckland, mate.
No.
Okay, I'll stay.
Stephen and Paul, I'm just going to add on to what Stephen said. Stephen, that's a tremendous idea, fantastic idea. I'm involved in a club where 98% we have Polynesian players, and I can assure to the assembly line of talent, and it's just making sure that talent gets fitted in and streamlined, especially at the junior age grade. So we're talking that under 19s, 21s, making sure that academy sides and academy wider training pools are available. I think it'll be a great opportunity for most of these kids who would otherwise not get an to go ahead and play for their country of choice. So I'll second that, Stephen. Fantastic.
A couple of other thoughts there. Simon says he'd like to see the Fiji Drua elevated to Super Rugby from the NRC. That would be kind of cool. Especially with the NRC over in Australia, looking like it's finished. It isn't likely to come back. So cool idea there. Nocturnal Right says that the Pacific players go down to the South Islands to acclimatise first before heading overseas. That's Southland. Yes, that's true. Aaron says, talking about this year rather than longer term, about the Rugby Championship. I'm saying, could a Pacific Island team replace South Africa if they can't come here to play the championship? That's an interesting one. The current talk is of Fiji heading over to Europe and taking part in a extended Six Nations team. So the Six Nations competition, the Six Nations including Fiji and Japan. So those two teams would be out. And then the question mark would be, if you could include Samoa or Tonga, how many of those players are actually available, and how many of them are in Europe and wouldn't get released by the European clubs as well. So that's, I guess, to me, that's probably the main problem. Would be that one. So I think if South Africa can't, and I'll be honest, with Argentina or the Jaguares having released a lot of players to Europe and saying, hey guys, go find yourselves a job because we haven't got any money for you anymore, and it looks like we're going to be outside of Super Rugby, I do wonder what kind of team the Argentina will be able to bring to the Rugby Championship in as well, if they'll be able to get all their players. or not. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if South Africa can't travel, as to what that competition might look like. Time to talk some club rugby, you think, boys?
That's probably a good start. Paul, have we lost our mate? He's fallen off the line.
Yeah, I think so.
Look, he was definitely having some connection issues there, so hopefully he'll come back. But if not, then unfortunately we will soldier on and get him back another time. Do you want to start off with Northland, or where do you want to start, Stephen?
Yeah, no, I'll start off with the Northland results, and it was good to see Northland Rugby back up and running this week after quite a turbulent week last weekend with all senior rugby postponed. But we'll quickly go through the results, starting with a very close contest between Kitty Kitty and the Western Sharks, and the home side getting the job done, 27-25. Waipu far too strong. That's last year's champion for Hikarangi, 45 points to 8. Mid-Northern over Old Boys Marist, beating OBM at home, and Kamo 55-18 over Ngāti Hine Moerewa UK. Now, there were some images last week of their pitch being totally underwater, so fortunately that game was played at Kamo on the weekend. But the big upset was Horror, who had been unbeaten up until round 6, being knocked over by Welsford up in Welsford 36-29. I understand Horror rested a few players and played the ultimate price for resting those players. So if we look at the table, it hasn't changed too much though, with Horror still sitting on top with 20 points. Waipu on 19, Kamo on 15, and Mid-Northern on 15. And Welsford look like they're just starting to find their mojo as well. They've missed Rennie Ranger, who's just been out for the last 3 weeks getting a little bit of work done on the knee, but I'm pretty sure once he rolls back into that team, it'll make them even stronger. They've got a few rep players running around in that Northland and that Welsford side at the minute, Paul. And we'll head down to North Harbour Club Rugby on the weekend. A very, very big win for Takapuna, who remain unbeaten in the competition over Kumeu. Now, the win doesn't surprise me, but the size of the win actually surprises me, because Kumeu had knocked over Massey earlier in the season and had been travelling quite well. So a little bit of a surprise. I know we were going to speak to the head coach tonight, Paul, with a bit of luck if he was going to pop on.
He was. Unfortunately, he's had he's had to pull out due to medical issues. So unfortunately, he can't join us. But hopefully another week.
I had a quick chat to the director of rugby, Ben Wiki, and they had actually targeted this game. They knew Kumeu would come out for firing, but more importantly, they just wanted to put on a performance while they'd been winning. They just wanted to put on a performance that pretty much made a statement, and with a result like that, I think they pretty much did. North Cape 56-14 over North Harbour Marist, far too strong. And East Coast Bays had to work hard to beat Massey up in Massey on the weekend, only 3 points in it, 30-27. And North Shore, the visitors to Silverdale, proving too strong at 22 points to 3 as we look at the table in North Harbour Club Rugby. And Takapuna looking very, very good out in front. But, of course, North Cape, we know how good they are, very strong up front. They've got one of the Mayhew boys in the front row who's played a little bit of Super Rugby, North Shore and East Coast Bays. Before I get on to Auckland Club Rugby, Paul, I'm just going to quickly touch on Counties Club Rugby, because the team that had been unbeaten all year, Manurewa, were knocked over the weekend by Bombay. Up on the hill there in South Auckland at the end of the motorway, 28 points to 15. A close one between Pukekohe and Waiuku. Pukekohe getting back in the winner's circle after going down to Manurewa last weekend, 20-22. Karaka far too strong for Onefero, 60-19, and Ardmore Marist 94-7 over Papakura, who are going through some very, very tough times this year. They're the city club, not too sure what's happening there. We'll try and touch base with reach out to somebody in Counties Rugby, but just looking at the table, Ardmore, Marist, Karaka, Manurewa and Bombay are the top 4 teams in the counties club competition. As we head off to the Auckland competition, University 71, Manukau Rovers 0. Bit of a tough day at the office there. Boa for the boys from Manukau. I'll come back to you in a moment with that game. College Rifles 32, Papatoetoe 20, Ponsonby 96, or Tahahu 6. I had a contact at this game, Robbo, who was at the game, but he just said Otahu's discipline just unfortunately just went a little bit out the window, and against a team like Ponsonby, and you knew they were going to bounce back after the Grammar Tech result. As we look down the table, a good bounce back there from Waitemata over Eden 20-19 after going down to Pakuranga the week before. Pakuranga with a 51-5 win over Te Papapa, but more importantly, good to see Te Papapa fielding the side. I know they've had their issues, but great to see East Tamaki after their win last week. Just probably found Marist a bit too hot to handle, and Grammar Tech look to be the team that's coming through the middle of the pack at the moment with a 21-0 win over Suburbs. As I quickly take a look at the table, Marist on top there from Ponsonby, College Rifles, Grammar Tech, but boy, it's a real logjam from about 4th placing down with Grammar Tech University on 21, Eden, Pakuranga, and Waitemata in the top 8 with some big games to come. But I'm quickly going to have a chat to no, Boa has gone, but so I'll have a chat to Dwayne on. He is back. He's coming back to us very, very shortly. And I know, Boa, we'll head to you. You were obviously there at the game against University. Obviously, when you play one of the sides that are in the sort of top 6, it's always a tough ask.
Yeah, was it ever? Look, it was absolute pounding. You know, my boys got absolutely smoked. And look, to be frank, that University side with the players returning, especially some of the Blues and some of the overseas pro players, you know, that was incredible side. If they can retain that same squad of players, same team of players, and if they show up weekly, I don't think there is a side in this Gallagher Shield competition who can stay even remotely close to them. They were that good. Every pass they threw stuck. Their speed, execution, light years ahead. And, you know, you have to give them credit. They looked incredible. We were in the game for about maybe 4.5 minutes, and then it was just all carnage. So, look, I'm not going to gloss over it. It was just an absolute and utter mismatch. You know, Colin Maiden, Park number 10, magnificent playing surface, and there was a good crowd on hand. It would be really cool to see more of these professional players or the top-run players play club rugby, because I think it's going to bring more people into the grassroots game. However, something I do have to say is if you have a few sides which are stacked with these top-end players, and, you know, a few sides which aren't, they're just going to create big mismatches, and that's something which is not good for the competition. And, you know, I have to say, you know, our boys and myself, we were shell-shocked. And there's not a heck of a lot we could do, but a complete performance from the varsity side. And in my view, clear top pick to win this year's Gallagher Shield on the proviso that they can maintain that same squad of players.
Yeah, boy, I look at that team, and you've got the likes of Liam Steele, Tyrone Elkington, McDonald, Jonathan Ruru, for Christ's sake, at halfback, Nepia, Fox, Matamua, beg your pardon, James Lay. These are all guys that have played either the Mitre 10 Cup, or in the case of Jonathan Ruru, they've played Super Rugby. But on the other side of it, you know, what an experience for some of these guys to play against these chaps.
Well, it certainly was unforgettable. You know, 71-0. It's like a cricket score. You know, after 80 minutes of batting at the University over. So I gotta look at the lighter side. But again, you know, it was like a Ferrari racing against a Toyota Echo, and it was just a mismatch. But yeah, you know, most guys, I mean, the level of contact, you know, it was just mind blowing. for some of these guys, because 30% of my squad are eligible for under 19s and under 21. So as you rightly said, Stephen, some of these top guys coming up against these young kids, it was a real baptism of fire. And there was no Rocky story, unfortunately, but we live to fight another day, and we have the College Rifles at home, Williams Park, this Saturday. I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be a very different proposition playing at Williams Park.
Oh, absolutely. That and hopefully we'll order in a little bit of mud just to slow College Rifles down as well. Boy, hey, listen, well done. I'm always upbeat. Sometimes when you're on the back end of a hiding, you've just got to take. You've seen where the bar is, and you've pretty much got to raise it. Now, talking about raising the bar, I obviously saw Pakuranga play Suburbs a couple of weeks ago, and probably not.
Just a quick one about the weekend, Steve. There's a weekend coming up. We are looking at a wet Saturday. So yes, I do think that, as you say, I think we're going to have that order of mud sorted out.
Guys, there's nothing to order. It's been like that from day one, and it's going to only get progressively worse. So nothing to order.
Oh dear. I was saying I was at Baylan a couple of weeks ago. Saw Pakuranga go down, but hey, listen, good things in the last couple of weeks. A good win over Waitemata last weekend, and followed it up with a solid enough performance over Te Papa Dwayne.
Yeah, that's it, Stephen. We're actually really disappointed with the performance we sort of had on against Suburbs, and we sort of knew after the loss against Ponsonby the level that we needed to be, and obviously we didn't front against a good Suburbs team on the day. Fast forward to last week, getting the victory over Waitemata, that was tough. It could have went either way. Waitemata had the opportunity at the end with the line out, and we were obviously okay to spoil that and get the victory. The weekend just gone. Look, full credit to Papa as well for turning up. We knew the struggles that they're going through, and we're just grateful that they did turn up and we had a game. They had guys stripping from the reserves and stuff like that. So it's never easy. And as sort of Boa mentioned, there is definitely a lot of talent out there. And yeah, I guess it's up to Auckland Rugby whether they spread that talent across different squads. I know varsity, for example, those guys that have come back are sort of guys that have played varsity for many years and have gone on to greener pastures and been successful in their rugby career. But no, it's going to be a great weekend of rugby this coming weekend, and even the next few weeks. Doesn't get any easier for us. We're over at Papatoi, and the weather's not too good, so I think they've got a bit of a bog as well. But rainy days even up both teams, so it doesn't matter if you have rock stars. The rain just evens up both teams, so it should be an interesting weekend.
Now, Pakuranga have their own version of Tom Robinson and Max East, and boy, I've got to say he's probably got an engine like Tom Robinson as well. He came back from a long layoff, but boy, you wouldn't have known it.
Yep, no, he's definitely he hates being compared to Tom Robinson, but we give him a stick about it. But yeah, Max East, he's definitely one of the vets in Auckland Club Rugby. And it's great to have him back, especially because our lineup was a bit shaky beginning of the year, but he's sort of made that sort of pretty good, and he's getting the forwards humming, especially because it's a young sort of forward pack, and Auckland Rugby is a young man's game. To be honest, it's definitely a lot of young faces going around, and obviously Boa's spoken about Manukau Rovers. But every team I've come across, you don't see the old faces I used to see, especially a couple of years ago. So games get a lot quicker, and the Bulls are a lot bigger. So it's definitely exciting times.
Thanks for that, Dwayne. And Paul, obviously you were out at the East Tamaki Marist game, and of course last year's losing finalists in the Gallagher Shield just far too strong for ET.
Yeah, before I get in touch with Dwayne, we're going to ask you a question after this. So I'm going to give you some thinking time. Can you think up a Pacific 15 of international players that are in New Zealand currently that could join into the Rugby Championship if South Africa or Argentina can't come? So So I'll just throw that. You've got a couple of minutes while we discuss these final games to think that up of people that are around. I was at East Tamaki versus Marist. Look, 779, and I'll be honest, I thought it was 785. So I got checked with the referee afterwards, and I got the score wrong. So it was basically in that first 20 minutes, especially, it was just they just lost the gain line. East Tamaki couldn't get over the gain line, and Marist could at will. And when you're on the back foot like that, it's when you're being outpowered like that, it's going to be a long day at the office. And when you think that they've got Daryl Sousa, the ex-Black Ferns head coach, is the head coach at Auckland Marist, but they've got a very good coaching setup there. Add into that a selection of decent players, and you're going to have a very strong team, and that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, exactly. You can add Peter Knock, who's been involved with New Zealand Sevens as well. So, a really, really strong management team. Paul, you spoke of gain line there, but a quick question I just want to ask Boa from a technical piece. In terms of winning that gain line, man, how important and what does it do for the psyche of a team when they're getting over that line quickly? Whoops, have I lost him? Have I still got you there?
Are you there?
Indeed. Sorry, guys. I've just got a few technical issues, and I've just sorted out and come up with a new set of headphones as well. So, sorry, could you repeat that, please, Stephen?
Yeah. Paul was just talking about the importance of winning the gain line when you're basically, you're obviously looking for quick ball. How important, mate?
Look, it's the most important facet, especially at this competition. In this competition at this level, club premier grade, because as soon as you bust the gain line, it means that the defending side, they have to go backwards and do all the defending. And if you look at all the stats, soon as a line bust is made, chances of a try being scored out wide just multiply. So one of the most important facets in modern rugby is to get that gain line. And, one line break will usually lead to another one. And then the holes start opening up. And good sides, as we encountered last weekend against University, they broke the gain line at will. And the end result was a cricket score.
So it's very important that if you are coming up with a team with that gain line, boy, you've just got to man up and somehow drop them, meet them at the advantage line, but just mess up or slow their ball down without giving away infractions.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, about a week ago, I was having a chat with the Auckland Mighty 10 coach, Craig McGrath, who'll be overseeing the defense. And he had some very adventurous ideas, especially about line speed, getting in the face of the opposition. And that's something I think the Mighty 10 side this year in Auckland are significantly working on, because, Craig's come from the Honda Heat, coaching the Honda Heat in Japan. And line speed is something, traditionally it's not used much in the competition, especially in Auckland, because most teams are very comfortable to drift, or what we call jockey. So it's about making sure that you don't give the opposition an inch, and you make sure you get those first up tackles done. And when those tackles happen, your players who are looking to jackal and looking for the turnover have to be on point. And the deeper you go into the competition, the breakdown is going to be that much more competitive. And as you know, the referees, they're very, very tight on the breakdown area, and that's causing, that initially caused, especially the first 2 to 3 weeks, plenty of penalties at the breakdown. So it's something we have to be very aware of. If we stop the opposition getting easy meters or front foot ball, it's just going to make your job or your day in the office that much easier.
Dwayne, I know loose forwards isn't your forte, but just to sort of give you an example, you say I was watching the Blues Chiefs game, and I was watching Blake Gibson really carefully, and we know what a good player he can be at breakdown, and he will always look to jackal and still contest that jackal area. But I also think that the role of a really good loose forward, if you've missed the jackal, I reckon your next job is to just basically really try and disrupt that contact area, and I thought it was something the Chiefs did really well. Is that your expectation from a 7?
Yeah, I think just anyone in general that's in that tackle ball area, if you've missed that ruck or you've missed that jackal, what next can you do? And as a 9, the next annoying thing is just guys are competing in that ruck area, just guys attacking team not staying strong over the ball. Then you get defenders who are coming through just disrupting it, and I think that's the next best thing to do. Is you've lost it, so what can you do next? Either compete or fan out, get back into the line, and just eyes up D. You want to. I think a lot of the time defenses commit too many to the ruck, and obviously attacking teams like Crusaders pick out those little things where guys in a defense are attract 2-3 guys in, and then obviously you see the ball spread to the next side of the field. So yeah, I guess you pick and choose when to attack a ruck. I think I heard the commentators in the weekend mention that the Blues loose forward trio do it the best. They're a menace in the ruck area, and I think it's proven, especially in defence. There's a bit of sting in the Blues defence, and it's just improved week in, week out. And obviously they've had a few losses, but Chiefs aren't. They've got probably the best loose forward trio as well, in Kane and Boschia, I think it is. So they didn't come up against easy beats. They definitely played against some All Blacks as well. So I guess Gibson and Akira played bloody well, and he was a menace too on defense in the wide channels. And you probably want a big man in the wide channels defending against wingers or centers. He proved strength and power and speed in the weekend, so it was good.
Now, speaking of loose forwards, one loose forward that really impressed me on the weekend playing for Waitemata, and he'd been out for a while, but you wouldn't have known it, was Adrian Choate. He's been out of rugby for a while, but boy, he was basically a constant menace in the breakdown area, and it was really interesting listening to their conversations behind the goalposts whenever they were there, and the conversations were in and around chop tackle guys, and you bring our loose forwards into the game. And I just thought they did very, very well in that, because Eden are a very, very good side, and you probably would have come up against Iggy Costa, the halfback for Eden, Dwayne.
Yeah, definitely. The Costa brothers, they've been around Auckland Rugby for a few years. I think they've been to Harbour as well, and they've got some great attacking prowess. So for instance, you had Adrian back. You got Nico as well, who's he's not too bad of a footballer as well, and good over the ball. So what best to do against a great attacking team is slow their ball down. And it looks like Waitemata did a great job, and that's what they did against us as well. They were just a menace in the ruck area. We try to speed it up as much as we could, but if you got great loosies, Boy will probably put a stat up as well. If you slow the ball down, it suits your team. You'll win the game. So.
And you got to say, when you talk about coaching staff, man, good coaching staff as well, with David Bateman, Alex Fatu, and Fino Maka, who I recognised also helping out as well. So pretty impressive. And I see they've also got a couple of technical assistants. So they're obviously a well-managed side. So all in all, a very good day at Waitemata Park. Good day for the local supporters, and obviously a bounce back for them. And I think that probably wraps up most of our club rugby. Paul, club rugby wrap for the weekend results.
No, we also have Bev, who's going to bring us who's recorded a video for us to bring us up to date with the Waikato competition. So we'll go over to we'll play that video, that recording now. He says, I think I'm sorry, I forgot to share the sound, folks. I will I'll share that this time.
Hi there, welcome to Bevan's 2020 Waikato Club Rugby Results Show. Yesterday's live stream match was between Fraser Tech and Morrisville Sports. Fraser Tech had a great day with Penny Ioane playing a remarkable 200 matches, managed to score a try that was heard from the game 50 metres down the road, and Matt Lansdowne, who actually gifted him that try, playing in his 50th. Started off with a Morrisville Sports actually opening the account with an intercept try, brilliantly read. Jordan Bunce chased him all the way, but couldn't quite catch him. And from there, unfortunately, for Morrisville Sports, even though they did show some great ticker, Fraser Tech was too strong, 48-14. Over in Tiamutu Sports took on Melville. Looking at the scorelines that were coming through, quite a close game. Melville winning that one 43-33. Hamilton Maris travelled to the University of Waikato and handed University of Waikato a relative loss, 65-10. And in the result of the round, week 7, Hautapu, having been undefeated since the 2018 Premiership final, travelled to Hamilton Old Boys in what most thought was probably going to be another easy win for Hautapu, but Hamilton Old Boys managed to cause an upset there, 36-30. So
that is a massive win, folks. Hautapu, where the Jacobsons play, for example. 2
weeks to go into the competition, should be a good one. Fraser Tech travelling to Melville for the Stag Trophy is the highlight for the round next weekend. And in the Women's Premiership, going into it, Melville needed 1 point to secure a home final next week. They managed to do that, beating Patararu 48-0. Hamilton Old Boys secured their place in the final as well, winning 69-0 over Kiki. That match will be live streamed on the Waikato Rugby Facebook page from 12:30 next Saturday. That will be the curtain raiser to Fraser Tech versus Melville. And that's the results show for today. Thank you.
So thank you very much to Bevan there from Waikato. Bring all the other boys back now for being up to date with the Waikato club competition. Now, Dwayne, how did you do about putting together a Pacific 15 of internationals who are in New Zealand at the moment?
It was actually quite tough, to be honest. I sort of just went off of the current Super Rugby players who are uncapped, and also some X1s. So I'll give it a crack, eh? On number 15, I went Chase Tiatia. Number 14, I went with Tima Whanganuku, I think it is. 13, I went with Vince Assel. Number 12, I went with Manonu, because obviously a legend himself. So I just went with the safe haven. 11, I went with Mark Telea. I'm not sure if he's kept or not with sevens, but yeah, not sure there. Number 10, I went Stephen Perifeta. And Josh Ioane bracket as well. Oh, he's kept, so forgot about that. Number 9 was a tricky one, but I went with Jonathan Talataina. Who's over
what do you mean you're difficult? You're stood right here in the show as an international 9.
I can't pick myself.
I can't think of anyone who's available.
I can't pick myself. And also bracketed with Whakatawa over at the Highlanders. He's a good young 9 from Hawke's Bay as well. Number 8, I went with Mikaele Tu'u. Highlanders 8.
Great.
7 was Nipia Fox / Nico Jones as well. Number 6, I went with Akira Iwane. Number 5, I went with Ben Nini. He played for Manu Samoa. He's running around as well. Number 4, I went with Kane Leo Pepe, who's with the Hurricanes. He's played for Samoa as well. Number 3, I went with James Lay over at Varsity. Number 2, Andrew Makalio, unkept. And number 1, I went for old Tongan player Sona Tamalolo, who is back from France. And also Alex Fidel / Alex Fidel as well from the Canes. So That was my 15 that I could think of off the bat.
Okay, so we could, yeah. There is. Look, they're unlikely to beat the All Blacks. Let's be blunt, and they're going to struggle against that. But then again,
You've got to play at Rovers, I reckon. Play them at the Rovers.
Play them at the Rovers.
Yeah, on a rainy day.
Yeah, we'll
On a rainy day.
number one.
Yep.
No, even on the sunniest day, trust me, you gotta get into the Seagulls. I mean, guys, we don't train on that park. We do not train on that field. We train on field number 2.
Save it for Saturday.
And it's there's nothing to save. It's just how it is. So it's just tough. Welcome to Williams Park.
No, but against the Pumas, if they're over here, Australia's not that strong at the moment. But yeah, we could get you could put together a side to take part in a so Nocturnal Rights reckons that team would definitely need some warm up time to be competitive. I mean, all you do is look at remember what the British and Irish Lions looked like when they first arrived here and struggled against a provincial 15 up in Whangarei, and they went on to halve. They went on to win a game against the All Blacks and draw a game. So it takes time to put those sides for a side to come together. You can't expect them to come. It's like the Barbarians. Again, they can quite often have way more caps than the opposition. So than the others. John in the live chat there. Look, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and you'll be watching us in Vancouver. Thank you so much for staying up so late.
Yeah, that's it.
What a treat.
Wow. Legend.
Yes, you're allowed to go
serious
to bed.
commitment there,
Yeah.
John.
Good night, John. So yes, they would need a couple of warm-up games probably against some, and which would be difficult to find really when you've got the Mitre 10 Cup happening at the same time. I mean, what games you could put together to as warm-ups for the Rugby Championship, which is exactly why the All Blacks are playing.
They could probably play the varsity side. Probably give them a good run. Yeah.
Varsity with ponies.
Yeah.
Well, any thoughts on that team? Is there anyone you could probably add or remove, or Stephen?
I was sort of thinking maybe Duplessis Kirifi.
Oh yes,
as well. He hasn't been selected as an All Black, but boy, he'd give you a whole lot of work rate in that 7 and some if you like. I like the idea of Whakatava because you'd actually need something a little bit different to break the All Blacks up. And I think with that combination of Stephen Perofeta, I know when Stephen's on, he can be really amazing, and we know that he's a good footballer. In a perfect world, I would love Ben Lamb to be part of that side as well. That had just got offer you some real impact from the back. But I also like Chase Tiatia as well. God, I would really hope that he throws in his lot with Samoa. I really do. He's such a good footballer. You just get the impression to be a footballer that would find another level if he played international rugby, and that given opportunities, I think he'd get better.
Well, haven't you got a Samoan or a Samoan Sevens player running around for you guys at the moment?
We do. Playing fullback, Samoa Taloa. He's a former Samoan Sevens rep. Unfortunately, this weekend, 10 minutes prior to kickoff, he pulled up with a hamstring strain, so caused a bit more inconvenience. But yeah, we do. Kirifi, definitely, Stephen. And also, just want to throw into the mix Nili Latu, who's still running around with Marist. Real workhorse and great carrier of the ball. And I think he'll give some real inspiration to some of the younger players. Not sure whether he'll last full 80 minutes with that type of team. And also, I'd be very interested to see if who coaches a side like that. I mean, maybe Alama Ramea, the Auckland NPC coach, and someone who can really get the backs firing with a bit of creativity. So if you give that 15 enough time to prepare, play against the ponies and varsity as warm-ups, in their lead up, it could be a very potential a potent, a very lethal side. Might even deal to some Super Rugby sides. Who knows? Who knows?
We've got a real journalist actually watching us today. Dewey Priest has got a question, and he would like to know after Aaron Smith and TJ Perenara, who's your third choice halfback for the All Blacks at the moment?
If I was to go off form, I'd say Bryn Hall, but also Brad Weber. I always back Brad Weber. I think he's one of the most underrated number 9s going around, and he's got a bit of class, and I just love his support play as well. So on form, Bryn Hall, but Brad Weber's not too far away. But if I was to pick one, I'd probably go with Bryn Hall at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame that people like Triple T and Fakatava, two of the futures of at 9 for New Zealand, neither of them are getting game time, which is a real shame. I don't get why Fakatava's not getting at least bench time down there at the Highlanders. I just don't see what they're gaining by playing Finlay Christie. Perhaps tad harsh, and but yeah, I thought playing.
You mean
Paul? You mean Kane Hamilton?
The Blues?
Oh, sorry, Kane Hamilton. Wrong way around. Sorry, Finlay Christie's up at the Blues. Oh dear. I mean Kane Hamilton. You're right.
Yep, I was gonna say I really like the look of Follow Fakatava. But when you got Aaron Smith playing so well at the moment, man, he's playing his halfback play is from another planet at the moment. The way that he's actually playing, he's actually almost recaptured that form from about 4 or 5 seasons ago, fellas. When somebody's playing that well, you're probably, and especially in tight games, and I think if you think of that game that they came back against the Chiefs, he needed to be on the paddock. And that little short pass, to have the audacity or the confidence to throw a short pass like that, it's just freakish, and Dwayne, just a freakish thing to do.
If you look back at that game, especially at the end, they had a driving maul, and you're probably, a coach will probably screaming, thinking, what the hell? Like there's a maul that's still carrying on, but that's just class, and that's also combinations as well. Knowing his player's going to be there, if he's going to, have a little dab and pick a hole. So that just comes with combinations and time as a team. It's just the tempo he plays at for 80 plus minutes. Like, it's a nowadays 9s, usually around that sort of 60, 65 mark. You bring in, some impact off the bench with another 9 who's got, pace and energy to go with. But for him to do it week in, week out, usually around 75 to 80 minutes, that's just class. And I think right now, I don't think he is the best 9 running around.
You guys, I mean, from a coaching point of view, if your halfback is playing week in, week out to that intensity, showing the same level of skills consistently week in, week out, he plays full 80 minutes. It's that simple, because he's obviously, supremely fit, and he's got because if you just follow Aaron Smith for a good 20 minutes in a game, if you see what he does off the ball, how he communicates, how he calls plays, how he commands his forwards around, he's got confidence in everything what all his teammates do, and he calls it. So when you have a player in that sort of run-on form and that type of experience, you just play him 80 minutes. And unless there is someone on the bench who can come and do something, remarkably better, I can't see him being subbed at any point, especially in Super Rugby.
Yeah, the problem is that is that because scrum halves are running 2 every single ruck, in theory, they run a lot further than anyone else does on the pitch, and they actually end up the meters run by a scrum half is normally one of the highest, and hence that's why you do see them generally getting pulled at that, as you say, at that 60-minute mark. The fact that he's got the fitness to keep it going. Now at Super Rugby, the drop between him and the bench is significant. The drop between him and TJ at All Blacks level isn't so much. So hence a tiring Aaron Smith getting replaced by TJ, I get. But yeah, at Super Rugby, you're right. He's going to be playing that full 80.
Paul, I have a question.
One of the key.
Oh, you go, boy. You go.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. Just adding to Aaron Smith. If you look at his running lines, he's always doing what you call front running. He's ahead of the ball, and he's mastered that art. Now, if you keep doing that for 80 minutes, you're basically saving a lot of meters on the pitch, and you're saving a lot of energy, and you're being very productive and energy efficient. I think that's one of his key aspects in the game. If you go back a couple of seasons and look at most of the tries he scored where the All Blacks attack the edge and how he runs in a forward support line and receives it flat from his outside backs. It's incredible. So I think that alone adds so much value, especially to the attacking game. That's what makes Aaron Smith so special. Stephen.
Sorry, just follow up on that one though. Is that also with him having faith in his forwards and the other players to get over the gain line, so he knows he can run ahead of the ball and the ball will get past him, and then he's in the right place to pick it up? That also requires trust in your other players. I'm assuming.
Absolutely, and that's what differentiates the best or the great teams from the good, because they put in the hours, they do the training, they look at their attack maps, they look at the videos which the analysis team does, and they trust everyone else to do their job. And they know that if they're in a particular running line, they're going to get that pass more often than not. So absolutely bang on the money there, Paul.
Dwayne, just a question for you. Just in and around TJ Perenara, first two games in Super Rugby Aotearoa, we saw a TJ Perenara who looked really frustrated. It was basically arguing with having a lot of conversations with the ref, always questioning the ref. I just watched him on Saturday night against the Crusaders, and he looked like he was having a lot of fun. What do you think the change?
I think the style of rugby they're playing, and also probably just the team buying into now winning rugby. I think frustration because they weren't performing, and he's probably taken a lot on his shoulders being a co-captain or captain at the time. So I guess as a captain, you always want the best, and you want to try and be the best on the field. So maybe he took a lot on his shoulders, and maybe the pressure of trying to get the wins early on. I mean, who knows? TJ's a class player. And he brings a little bit of X factor as well. Boy talked about running lines, and TJ is probably one of the best, if not the best at it, because he's probably one of the top try scorers in Super Rugby as a 9. I think he's well past 50, and that's just class. Running lines. Bryn Hall does it, the best as well. And as you said, Paul, there's a thing with trust in players, and you see the Crusaders get over the ad line every time. And that just helps as a 9. You're always going forward. You're not getting belted back, and you're sort of readjusting your line to go back and pass. So I think, it comes down to trust and everyone just buying into how they want to play, the style they play. And I think TJ's just probably adjusted to the role now, and he's got Dan Coles, running around. So, it's probably taking that pressure off of trying to, speak to the ref. And just play rugby. At the end of the day, you play your best when your team's winning. And I think Hurricanes have got groove, and probably the form team at the moment. So it'll be good. It'll be interesting.
So a couple of things there. So here are the top try scorers in Super Rugby: Israel Folau on 60, Doug Howlett 59, Caleb Barelf 58, Joe Roth 57, Mar Nonu, Cullen, Havana, and Mortlock 56, TJ Perenara 54. He's 6 tries away from being the top try scorer in Super Rugby ever.
You probably get that
that piece. The other thing is also it's coincided with Geordie Barrett coming back, and I was going to wrap up, but I want to talk about Geordie Barrett. He is he's someone that I think a lot of people have been frustrated by. Look, he can do lots of stuff. but he tend to make mistakes. This season, those mistakes don't seem to be happening as much, or don't seem to be happening since he's come back from it in the last 3 games. And he is in some real good form at the moment, isn't he? And
he is, and and if you look at most of his plays, he's adjusted his attacking depth quite well, and that's given him time. And of course, his last minute heart stopping clutch goal kicking. It's something we've now come to expect. Every time there's a close game, give the ball to Geordie and aim at the posts, and hey, you got your money. It's as simple as that.
So it's going to be. It makes Ian Foster's decision of who his fullback is. Is it Geordie or is it Dane McKenzie? Really kind of complicated, and I think it's going to come down to what style of play they want to play, essentially. So, guys, it's been fascinating. It's been great talking, but we've run out of time there. Thank you very much, Dwayne. Thank you very much, Boa, and thank you very much, Stephen, for joining us this evening on the DrivingMaul show. Please do subscribe, folks. Please do share it with your friends. We're nearly at 1,000 followers on our Facebook page, so please help us get to that milestone. Also, don't forget you can listen to us on the go as a podcast. Just check out iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Acast. And Stephen, you're looking there with one more comment to make, or have you? The way you're looking down there at me, I thought you might.
I just wanted to wish the guys well this weekend. Obviously, Dwayne, you head out to Papatoetoe, as you said before. That's it's going to be tough out there. It's a bit of a log jam towards the middle of that table. So all the best, and for yourselves, boy. Obviously, College Rifles at home. So let's hope your supporters at Manukau get out there and make a lot of noise. And there's only one way to, after last weekend's result, you just got to bounce back.
So, folks, don't forget, Auckland Club Rugby, do keep an eye on the...
Yeah, that's right. We've got to dust ourselves off the canvas and hands up.
Do keep an eye on the New Zealand Sports Radio Facebook page, where we'll have post-match interviews from the Auckland Club Rugby again this coming weekend. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.